Hey, what's up guys? It's Richard and I'm back with another video to help you guys understand real estate better. Are you ready? I'm gonna break down my $6.7 million portfolio exactly to the T. I've had so many questions on Instagram and on YouTube ask about my portfolio and how much it generates. So let's just break everything down. Full transparency here, all right? But before we go into it, if you guys like my content, you guys like the longer form information I'm giving you on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe so you guys can get more access as new videos are uploaded. Let's do this. Ready? So when I first started, I bought my first property as an auction property. This was a property that was severely under market. I bought it and had to buy it in all cash. This is what it looked like when I first bought it. Today, I have a completely different value than what I bought it at. It was a $150,000 purchase price. I put about $45,000 worth of work into it when I was finished with it in 2011. And then I refinanced, cashed out that property in 2017. Okay, so I used the cash out refinance money to go buy 4 more properties. I put $125,000 down for each one of those properties between both the down payment, closing cost, and the rehab, okay? So between all of those properties that I purchased thereafter, each one of them I created value into. I did cash out refinances on all of those properties. Each one of them gave me about 30 to 70% of my money back. And then I used that 30 to 70% of my money back to go buy more real estate. So let me break down a little bit more how that worked. My first property helped me acquire 4 properties, but it wasn't until a few years later. When did I buy my second property? My second property was purchased the next year. And when I bought my second property, it looked like this. My second property was a townhome that had a duplex style structure. So I was able to create a secondary unit on the bottom and one unit on the top. It had double door entrances. So I was able to monetize about $3,000 off that property a month after association, taxes, insurance, no mortgage on the property. I bought that property for $255,000. I put about give or take $35,000 worth of work into the property. And I used that property as a duplex from 2012 all the way to 2018 when I sold the property and I used the profits to then go buy more real estate. So I'll break that number down for you as well. So my first and my second property combined was $150,000 plus $45,000 in rehab, and I used $255,000 and then another $35,000 for the second property. Between both, I was making an average cash flow, not including any mortgages because I didn't have any debt on these properties, of $2,000 on my first and roughly about $1,500 on my second. That's basically what I was making. So I was making $3,500 a month. Obviously, you could tell that wasn't enough for me to live. I had a family building at the time, which I had my first child, and I was just married to my wife. I was 22 years old, so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go back to work, and I'm gonna start working at Tesla, which I got a job at, and I started focusing on making more money. And another thing that held me back at this time was that I didn't have a strategy. I didn't understand what I was doing. I'd only bought real estate, and I converted those units into a triplex and a duplex, but I didn't really know what else to do with them. I didn't understand how to do cash out refinances. I didn't understand how to get my money back. So all of these were important factors for the next layer of my real estate business. Once I worked at Tesla for about 3 years, I kind of lost myself with real estate. Then I went over to Google. I worked there for a year. Super cool company, but again, lost myself until once I left Google, I said, you know what? I want to get back into real estate. I really want to grow my portfolio. My 2 properties are now worth more money. Let me see what I can do with it. I've had consistent income for a good period of time. I can qualify for leverage. All these things were very important to me in order to build my next stage of success with real estate. So that's really what I did. So I started to form my team, my lender, my property manager, my real estate agent, my attorney, my project manager, my contractor, my title agent, my insurance agent. All these people were very important for me, and I started to reach out to as many people as possible to get referrals and to build this team up. And those people that I started with, most of them, I would say out of the 8, let's say 6 of them are still with me today and still do business with me every single day, okay? So once you build a good team, beyond question, they're gonna stay with you forever. Mind you, also, I just wanna point this out, I built my real estate portfolio from a different state. I was located in California, in San Francisco, working for tech companies, while my portfolio was being built in beautiful Miami, Florida. And that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to build something that was away from me, that I didn't have to go and work in, so I could replace myself from that business, and the business could be self-sustained while I can go live the life that I want and just manage the people that manage my business. And that's what I still have today, and I'll continue to have that. So this real estate portfolio has evolved, right? Once I got into 2017, going into 2018, I was starting to already work at Google, and I was leaving Google to go work at Facebook. And I realized that I wanted to get deeper into real estate, and so I did. I took all my savings and my earnings from the last couple of years, from the last purchase I made in 2012 to 2017, and I massed all of it up, and I bought 3 properties after doing a lot of education. So I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad again. I started reading Cash Flow Quadrant again. I started reading The Millionaire Fast Lane. I started reading Crushing It by Brian Murray. All of these books really gave me an idea of what direction I wanted to go in. They didn't give me the strategy, but it still helped point me into the direction of go towards real estate. And that's what I did. Hopefully this video does the same for you. Now, once I bought my 3 properties in 1 month, I knew that because I bought 3, I had to hurry up and do rehab on all of them. One thing I noticed was that those 3 properties, I had to put the money out of my own pockets. I actually didn't cash out refinance. So that was one thing that hurt me, right? Because I had all this capital and I was going to deploy it, but then I was going to be not necessarily broke, but I was gonna have less capital in my accounts than what I had before, right? So that was a big detriment to me. And I wanted to figure out a way that was gonna optimize that system without me going broke over time, because you have to look 2-3 steps ahead. And the way you look 2-3 steps ahead is you say, okay, if I use all my money now, how can I get all my money back later so I can keep on buying more? So I knew that I had equity in the first 2 properties. So with those 2 properties, I sold one, gave me $300,000. That was my second property that I purchased in 2012. And my 2011 property, I took out a cash out refinance of $425,000. So my combined amount between my 2 properties in my cash out refinance and in my sale was $725,000. I also had roughly, give or take, about another $700,000 to $800,000 in saved money and earned money that I'd made between 2012 to 2017 to 2018, right? So I had, give or take, almost $1.6 million, $1.5 million in cash, because I focused on earning during that period of time and saving the money from my real estate investments early on instead of using the profits to live. That was a very important thing I just mentioned right now, because most people, they just live off of their investments. They subsidize their rent, they subsidize their living, and they live for now and not for then. And that's what I was focused on. I was living for then. So I took those funds and I then started putting $100,000 down on every property, putting another $35,000 down on every single property in rehab, and I ended up scaling that to all these properties, right? So I bought this one, which was a duplex conversion. I bought this one, which was a triplex conversion. I bought this property, which was a fourplex conversion. I bought this property, which was a fourplex conversion. I bought this property, which was a duplex conversion. And I bought this property, which was the last remaining funds in my account that I had to deploy towards real estate. Besides my couple hundred in reserves, I used $700,000 after all of my rehab costs to acquire this building, and I was able to buy this building, which now produces 8 units, almost $9,000 a month. So breaking down all of these properties, I have a total revenue, gross revenue on this portfolio of $50,000 a month, and after my net costs, so this is my taxes, my insurance, my maintenance, and my property management. After all of my costs, this is what I'm left with in net cash flow that comes to me every month. Now, there is a factor here I want you to add. This is not including any vacancy, right? So on average, between all of my units, I have about 36 units. Between all of them, I have a vacancy rate of about maybe 2 or 3 units, give or take a month. That adds up to about anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a month of vacancy. Some months I've had amazing months where I've had 100% occupancy. Some months I've had 4 units vacant, and that's been kind of the extreme. Today I have 2 units that are vacant, and they're probably going to be filled within 30 days. So I'm not really concerned so much about those vacancies. I can still live well. I still have enough net profit coming in that I can absorb that money in my living cost, plus I can reuse a lot of that money back towards real estate for future purchases, right? You don't want to just live off of your investments. You want to be able to continue to scale up. But this is breaking down exactly how I built my $6.7 million real estate portfolio. It was all due to thinking how to build a portfolio by using the same amount of money that I originally put in over and over and over again. And that's what I did for a lot of my properties. The rest of my properties, I had to deploy new cash, which that's why I tell all of my new investors, very, very important. You need to be making money to get into real estate. Real estate takes money, especially if you want to get into real estate and avoid risk. That is how you get into real estate the appropriate way. Anybody who tells you to buy real estate with 3.5% down or less than 20% down, you are not just buying real estate, you are buying risk with that real estate. And you're not necessarily buying at that point an asset as much as you're buying a liability. My portfolio was built on production of cash flow and appreciation. It was a blended portfolio. It was thought out, very strategic, and I built it so that I could have peace of mind either in a good market or in a bad market. So for those of you that have questions, if there's any gaps that I left within this building of my portfolio, or you just want to know more, go ahead and comment below so I can answer your questions as they come in. And if you haven't already seen my daily routines of real estate and how I manage and maintain them, go to my Instagram, Richard Garcia Official, and you can get to see how I live a real estate investor lifestyle. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope it was really helpful and it inspires you to build your real estate portfolio as well. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks again for tuning in.